Hello and welcome to module 3. So for today's class, we are focusing on the planets. So what a planet is in astrology, the 10 planets that exist, the connection to the chakras, and then going a little deeper into the different chart points, an asteroid, the lunar nodes, and just sort of, if you think back to the how to navigate your natal chart video, like you have your rising sign, your descendant, it's the bolded lines. We're going to go over what that means. So for this class, there's journal prompts like there are every week, making flashcards for each planet and chart point, and asteroid and node are recommended, just like you've been doing for the elements, the zodiacs. No assignments, just like keep watching all of these videos before any live sessions, and then just making the flashcards and trying to relate the information as best to you as you possibly can. So the planets. So here is a brief overview of all of the planets and like the distance that they are from Earth. So basically a planet in astrology is the what. I had to take a minute there. It's the what, and then the zodiac, it's how it's expressed, and then the house is where. So right now we're looking at like the what. So different, like we all have like a sun in our chart, and then we express that depending on what zodiac sign it's in. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to go through them the order from like here we have the sun, then there's the moon, but then we have Mercury, Venus, we skip over Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So now that I'm looking at that photo, it looks like Neptune is before Uranus. I don't know. Okay. So the first planet, and it's not really a planet, it's the sun, it's a star, and the moon isn't a planet either. I think the moon is a luminary. So, but we just call them planets in Western astrology here. So just to keep it simple, there's the 10 planets. So your sun sign is the sign that most people are familiar with. It's sort of your consciousness and how you shine. So if you think about how the sun shines really brightly, it's how your personality is, like how you're going to express yourself, how you're going to shine, how you're going to act, how you're going to create. It can represent your external reality, and it can kind of be attached to like your ego a little bit, like how you really identify. But it's sort of what I always describe as like what your friends and your family know you as. So thinking back to the zodiac signs that we've already learned, it's just that zodiac sign expressed very like strongly, it's going to come across. It's even like you're meant to really work with this energy because it's your sun sign. So it can kind of have like a life force energy to it. And it is like a yang energy, and it's an outward expression. So just thinking about trying to work with your zodiac energy of your sun sign, I have to use me as an example. So I'm a Gemini sun sign. So I sometimes feel the most like me when I'm the good side of Gemini, where I'm like sharing information I've learned and I'm teaching and I'm allowing that like student of life energy to shine through and like share everything that I've studied and things that I've been curious about and learned about. And I'm sharing with other people, and I'm like shining the Gemini light that way. That kind of makes sense. So if you are an Aries, for example, the shining light that you have is bringing that motivation and that like action packed, like, let's do this, let's start this, that's going to shine from you. And like, that's the first thing people are going to sort of notice. So that's the easiest way to describe the sun sign. It's like very well known. Like people know their sun signs pretty well. We all have a birthday, and zodiacs horoscopes have existed forever. So it's something like you're going to hear information about zodiac sign last week, and you immediately probably were like, oh, that's me, when you're listening about your sun sign, or anyone that you know their sun sign, like your brother, your sister, your mom, your friends, and you're like, oh yeah, that's totally them. But there are other planets. So we have the moon is next. So the moon is like, let's say the opposite of the sun. So sun is outer world, moon is inner world. It's sort of what you need at the end of the day to be satisfied, like emotionally, from emotional standpoint, but to feel like completely at peace. The moon is the opposite of the yang energy. It's the yin energy. It's your internal world, how you feel on the inside, how you're going to process emotions, and not just like sadness, but how you're even going to express like joy, like any kind of emotion will come from the moon. It can be an indicator of how you will react when you're upset or triggered by something. And it can kind of be even your dream state, like how you visualize your life or how you internalize things. So like it can sometimes be like the most private part of yourself. So not that many people might know your moon sign except you. Like you might really know how you are kind of with yourself, like that inner part of yourself that only you really know. But like people around you might have absolutely no idea your moon, like how you kind of work with your moon sign or how it comes out, because you might not show your inner world to that many people. So I say that as I've gotten older, I really connect more with my moon sign, because it's like at the end of the day, I have a Pisces moon. So at the end of the day, I need to feel like I've done something creative with my time, as well as I need alone time to recharge because I pick up everyone's energy. So if I'm not creative and I don't get alone time, then like I'm not like it's just, I need those things, right? So it's having the awareness of your moon, I think, is more important than having the awareness of the sun sign. Because the moon, it's more internal and not that many people are going to know it except you. So like you should really get to know your moon sign. So whatever zodiac sign your moon is, study it, know it, and then connect to the element, how you're going to express your emotions. So quick overview. If you have a water moon, that's me. You're going to be very like potentially introverted with your emotions. You're going to potentially go quiet when you're upset, and you're going to be a crier and a feeler. You have an air moon. You are going to need to talk when you're upset and be around people. Like you have to talk it out, not feel it out. If you have fire moon, you got to like, you're going to be fast with the emotions, tad dramatic, but loud. And you're going to want to be heard and seen for sure. If you're upset, like you're going to need some sort of attention attached to that, or you're going to need to physically move your body to like move the emotion through. And then an earth moon, if you're upset, you might go clean and organize or go work, because you need to try to feel like you need to get things in order because they feel out of order. That's like the easiest way to describe the moon signs and how they kind of work just by the elements. But really study your moon sign. Okay, next we have Mercury. So Mercury is the messenger planet. We're talking about retrogrades later in this course, but because you probably heard the term Mercury retrograde a lot. So Mercury can describe a few things. It can describe like how you are going to talk to people, how you're going to like communicate. It can explain even the way you write sentences. It can explain how your mind works, how you learn information, how well you even did in school, like based off of your communication style and your learning style, how you're going to like share your thoughts, or have your expression of the truth, like how you're really going to share things. So how it can show up in each element is, so water, it's not really necessarily like a thinker. It's more like, how do I feel? And then I'm going to maybe share it creatively and intuitively, but it might be hard to share what you're actually thinking. If you have an air Mercury, it's going to be a very quick mind, very smart, very thinky. You're the thinkers, but there could be an indecisiveness, but your mind's going to be based on like, let me research this. I need more information, If you have an earth Mercury, you're going to break things down into very structural, practical ways of doing everything. And you're going to want like spreadsheets and numbers, and just it needs to make this like not just like the logical sense, but like even with numbers and things like that. Your brain might go a little slower, and you might be a more like hands-on applied learner, like actually doing the work or doing the task. Fire minds are very fast. They're just going to say what's on their mind. They're not going to think twice about it. They're just going to say it. You get frustrated very easily, most honest people you'll ever meet. But they have this ability to just know things and then they say it. There's an impulsivity, but just fast, like lightning fast. They know kind of like what they want and they're going to go do something about it. Now, I believe here in your booklet, I break down like every Mercury sign, and you're going to see like a little bit. My Mercury is in Taurus, so I highlight repetition. So if I ever repeat myself when teaching, that's why. But you sometimes need to hear things more than once for them to stick. You're going to see though, like for example, Mercury here in Gemini, Mercury here in Libra, it says the thinker, fast stimulated, because they're both air, but there's some different, like I changed it up a bit, but for like all earth Mercuries, they're the doer, the systematic, grounded, right? But they're like they're unique to that zodiac sign, but the elements really, they stay true to everything, right? So it's like why, that's why we learn the elements first. So I'm not going to read through all of these. I'd like you to go in here in your booklet, whether it's like online or you've printed it out. I want you to like highlight or circle your Mercury placement, fill in the correct box here. My Mercury is in blank, and then just journal about it to see if you connect with it where it like pops up in your life. So you can think about like how, if like, for example, if you have Mercury in Libra, how you like to research things before you make an informed decision, or you like to think, either you like to ask people their opinions beforehand. You are intrigued with consciousness, meditation, and awareness, because like the mind, like consciousness is like an air sign thing because it deals with the mind, and air is the mind. So like just connecting about how what it says here like relates. And if you do feel intrigued to study further by going on Google and saying Mercury in this sign, by all means do so. Depending on your Mercury, you will or will not do that. But just writing little things that pop up that really connect with you and how you see it like come up in your life. So I always do mine as an example just to kind of help out, but everything in my mind has a weird structure. Even the way that I'm able to make these booklets for you guys, I think they're very organized and it's laid out in a good way. Like I hope so for you to make it easy to learn. And then I liked there's journal elements throughout this entire course and workbook, and even the book that I like wrote. If you wanted to get this as the textbook, but there are journal elements everywhere because I don't just want you to sit here and like listen to me talk. I want you to apply it to make it practical. And like, here's my Mercury, learn practical things. So like, I don't just want you to know this, just to know it. Like, oh, cool. You now know something about astrology. Cool. But like, I actually want you to apply this to your life, to use it as a tool. You don't have to use it all the time, but knowing how to use the tool, not just knowing it. Does that make sense? As a Gemini, I know a bunch of random facts. It's weird. I don't know how I know things sometimes. I really don't. But that Mercury and Taurus wants me to be able to apply what I'm learning. Because like, why the heck did you learn? Why did you learn it then, right? So if you have a lot of air, you might just want to learn for the sake of curiosity, and that's cool. But I'm going to make you apply it in this course. Yeah, because yeah, that's just like that's my teaching method. So you can pause this and do this now, or you can do it later, but filling in your Mercury placement right there. Next is Venus. It's going to be the same thing for all the inner planets you're going to see. There's repetition. Venuses are feminine energy, love, beauty, relationships, abundance, money planet. So Venus is connected to money. Most people don't know that. They just think it's like the beauty or the love or the relationship planet. It's like, oh, what am I like in a relationship? But Venus really describes what you love or what you specifically need in a relationship and kind of what you're looking for. But it's also like art and abundance. So it's cool. So if you have a water Venus, creativity, I wrote flowing, but like art, creativity, mystical things, you're going to love that. And you're going to be I don't know if I put the love languages in here, but your love language as a water Venus is like the touch, the touchy feely, and the quality time. An air Venus, you're going to love learning, the mind, communication, you would seek out people in your life who also love to talk, because you love to talk, but then you have to also love listening. There's that balance. And then the love language for that is the talking one, the communication. Venus, an earth sign in Venus, you're going to be a very practical person, a very stable, loyal partner, and you're going to seek that out as well. And I have a good sale written there, because I don't like, you place a value on certain things, and you're probably going to have a budget, Venus and earth. And then the love language for Venus, like a Venus and an earth sign, I'm trying to think what they are. Probably the quality time, like don't waste an earth sign's time. Oh, there's another one. They might like gifts. They might be the gift ones. I don't know. And then a fire sign Venus is going to be like loving physical movement, exercising, working out, sports. The mirrors is there as like a joke, but fire signs usually are just like, oh, look at me, with the attention. So it's like they gotta like look good, and they like express that, but they like bring that energy and that hype energy to their like the people around them as well. I don't know. I'm forgetting a love language. I don't know why, but I'm forgetting it. Oh, the acts of service. That's probably what Earth Venus would be acts of service. Maybe fire would be like gifts and the time, like the adventures. They'd want to go on adventures. So I have the same thing, the same things written here. Every Venus sign, some things. Some of them are kind of like a little funny, but it's meant so that it kind of makes a little more sense for you guys. So going through and circling, highlighting the Venus sign that applies to you. And then if I go to the next page here, and these lines are always here for notes, because I might say something that's not written down. I never know what I say. That's a Gemini thing. I forget what I say sometimes. But right, my Venus sign is in, and then journal how it really connects with you. So being like, yeah, I really do love those things, or like, yeah, I really look for those things. So I'm going to give my example because it's just the easiest. You guys are going to get to know me very well through this. So my Venus is in Gemini, which it like complements my sun in Gemini. So I have your bookstore, library, lectures, give my mind something to do. Yeah, I get bored really easily. Multi-level, always changing, flirty, social, parties, fickle, love talking and listening. Yeah. So it's like a constant mental stimulation. If I like check out of a conversation and I'm bored, then the Venus in Gemini is not happy. The mind needs to be occupied. It's all about the mind in here. Any air Venus will kind of be like that, but it's like if a conversation doesn't flow with somebody, or I don't know where to, because I usually know how to get to have a conversation stay. Like any air sign will be able to converse pretty easily and know what to talk about with people. But if I can't even get a person to talk, like if I also have a podcast in addition to my business, and there are people who they don't need my questions, we're having conversation, the air is great. And then there are some people where the podcast interviews are so short because they don't necessarily know how to have a conversation. They might not have a lot of air in their chart. They answer the questions very boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, okay. And I try to get more information out of them, but they don't for whatever reason. So those people kind of frustrate me a little bit, but they might just like not have a lot of air. But that's the thing. It's that ability to always talk. And it's like, you never want the conversation. And if it's good, and then if it's like bad conversation, you're out of there. You don't really want to talk to that person again, kind of energy. The fickle makes sense, always changing the mind on like what you like to do, or like what books, what courses you're taking. There might be some flip floppiness happening. Okay, that's enough about Venus and Gemini, but connect with yours. I try to be as informative as I can be. Okay, next we have Mars. So like how we have sun is like outer world, moon, inner world. Mercury is just kind of there, how our mind works. Venus is feminine energy. I'm never talking about gender when I say feminine and masculine. I feel like I just need to state that. So Venus is feminine, so Mars would be the masculine. energy. So it's all about adrenaline. It's how you take action, how you're going to deal with anger and conflict, how you assert yourself, how you tackle a project, like the way that you're going to do it, like tackle anything in life, the approach that you're going to do, how you're going to like be at work, how you're going to like just take action with things. And then Mars, it's even like the how you deal with your sexual energy as well, how you execute that. So Mars with water is like a gentle influence because you think about the element of water and you think about an ocean kind of. It's like it's very flowy, but like if there's like a storm or something gets stirred up, it might cause some issues. But generally speaking, a Cancer Mars or a Pisces Mars is going to be more of a passive placement. It's like they're almost feminine in their masculine energy, if that kind of makes sense. I'm getting distracted by sounds. But a Mars in Scorpio, though, because in traditional astrology, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, it's a very focused energy. Even though it's watery, it's focused. Any air Mars, they're going to take action first by being like, I need to research this idea. I need to talk it out. I need to make the list and put all the ideas together before they even start work. Like they have to gather the information. A Mars and Earth, I have this, there's a system, there's a list, there's short steps, it's consistent. There's a plan, there's deadlines, there's a budget, and then once all that's done, then they go. A Mars and Fire just go. There's usually no plan, they just go. They just go. They usually have a gut instinct and a reaction. Again, like I said with the Mercury and Fire, they just know, like a psychicness almost. They act. They're impulsive with what they do. They don't need a plan. I say Fire. If you have a Mars sign, that's a fire. It's a fire sign. You great in like a crisis because you'd go, you like know what to do, you don't think. An air sign would just be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? A water sign would start crying with this, and then an earth sign wouldn't be like, okay, wait, there's no plan for this, there's no setup system, what's going on? So the fire signs for Mars are very like action ready, they know what to do. Now we go through and we look at all of them. And you're going to find yours, you're going to circle it, you're going to highlight it, you're going to see how it really connects to you, and then you're going to journal about it and see how it shows up in your life. So I was kind of saying mine, I have mine Mars and Virgo. So I have written down here, loves to clean and get organized, love to get stuff done and follow through, action through details, create lists before taking action. I have a wall right over there with like 5 different lists of things that I have to do. And then I like to cross things off my list. And then I see that I'm like, okay, I've done all this. And there's like a good job, pat yourself on the back. There's a productivity with it. My Mars and Virgo also loves to clean and organize. Like, if you saw my home, you'd probably say like, it's very clean, and it does look very clean. But the way my energy is, sometimes I'm like, oh, I know it's dirty. I think it could be cleaner. It's very odd, but that's just how it kind of like shows up for me. So like your Mars can kind of come out like if you're upset about something, and it's like how you feel on the inside with that moon when you're upset. But like if you're upset, but you still have to go on throughout the day, that's like your Mars is gonna show up. So if I'm upset, I will, feel my feelings because I have water moon. But then I'll start cleaning, or I'll start going through a to-do list and just exerting the energy in that way. So you can also reflect on that as well. So these are just some quick points about every Mars sign, seeing how you connect with this. But the Mars sign basically is like how you take action with the project, how you exert your energy throughout the day. Yeah. So now I think, see some of these like Mars and Gemini, will need to talk it out, like all that's there, but then it kind of changes. Mars and Earth is probably the most like efficient, and then Mars and Fire is just like, yes, like it feels very, because Fire is yang and Mars has the yang energy, so it feels great there. And then Mars and Earth, like so much is going to get done. It's going to be a very efficient personality. Yeah. Okay. Next is Jupiter, right? Okay. Jupiter is the biggest planet. It is all about good luck and fortune, generosity, gifts. It's like the planet of abundance, and like what things bring you abundance or make you feel very joyful in life. The energy of it is like celebratory. Jupiter will say to you, like, have another, like have another. Let's continue to have fun. Like, let's not stop this like pleasurable experience for you. Like, let's keep going. Let's keep going. It can be like, so there's that overindulgent quality to it. I should say quality, not equality, and how you kind of like expand. So I have little IE here, but I have all the Jupiters here. I'm going to give you my Jupiter example. I have my chart up there. So my Jupiter is in Aquarius. So when I am studying, like when I'm learning something new, when I am doing work with like, there's also we haven't looked at houses yet, but wherever the planet's placed, like there's going to be an influence deeper with the house that it's in. So, but for me, Jupiter and Aquarius, I mean, we can even go see what I wrote about it. Loves astrology and woo-woo linear progression. But Jupiter Aquarius, it's air. So it's like, I love to learn. I do really like astrology. I'm teaching it to you here. But anything that's like about consciousness, awareness, anything where I feel like there's like a humanitarian progression, it's help the collective, anything that feels forward thinking, feels outside of the box, where I'm just like, anything that feels not normal, I usually like it. And I'm just like, yes. And I keep going with that energy. And I feel more like myself. Like there's that expansiveness where you're like, yes, these are the things that need to be happening. And then with the placement, like the house placement, I also resonate with as well, which I won't talk about here. But you Jupiter like in fire, Jupiter is kind of similar to Venus because it's things that you like kind of love. But with Jupiter being the biggest planet, these things are really going to expand you, bring you like luck. So like, for example, when I'm studying astrology or when I'm learning new information or I'm being outside of the box, I feel like when I do that, I'm somehow standing out in a way, let's say in business, and that kind of potentially brings me luck that I'm not doing things the way everyone else is doing them. And that's like actually good for me in what I do, right? So if your Jupiter is in Aries, you're going to, if you're working out every day with Jupiter in Aries and you're like working out, you might just feel more expansive and have that like lucky energy too, because you're using your energy the way it wants to be used. So hopefully that makes sense. Oops. But going through, I have like little things here to describe them. And again, if you have a lot of air in your chart, research like from how different people describe these as well. And then write journal about yours here. And we can bring any questions or findings to the live classes. But yeah, that's Jupiter. My astrology teacher described it as like, think about like Santa Claus, really like jolly person giving out gifts. Like that's what Jupiter is. It's like, here's your gifts. Like if you use the energy, you'll just get like more and more. Yeah. So the next planet we have is Saturn. Saturn is like it's a much more serious planet than Jupiter. It's very serious. It's all about like discipline and karma and challenges. And it's kind of like a marker in your life, making sure that you're maturing, and like it'll keep you in check to make sure you're like living your purpose, like through astrology, quote unquote, like you're on the right path in a sense. So if you've heard the term 7-year itch, every year you have like, there's Saturn works in like around 28 to 30 years. So every 7-ish years, Saturn's going to make a square like in the sky to your Saturn. So it goes square, opposition, square, return. Hopefully that makes sense. I need like a visual to explain that, but it kind of does little check-ins to make sure that you're like on track. If you're not on track, Saturn will throw a challenge in your way if you're not on track to get you back on track. So that's really fun. So you think around age 7, which you probably don't really remember, age 14, we all go through, that's like awkward puberty for everybody. That's the opposition. It's around 21, 22. You may have made like a change in your life, and then 28 to 30. And I hear this mostly the similar things when I do readings with people. You either get married or you get divorced or you have a baby or you move or you start a new job or like you go back to school. It's like the same things. So yeah, humans are more connected than like we realize, but Saturn's like, do your purpose. Why the heck are you here on this planet? Are you doing what you're meant to be doing? Are you avoiding it? You're being like bad, not doing what you're supposed to do. It's almost like a destiny point, learning the greatest lessons through pain, rules, wisdom, humility. It's how you're meant to like serve on the planet. Like it kind of like evaluates you because it returns every 20 to 30 years, which means that when you're in your late 50s, you're going to return again. And then when you're mid 80s, it's going to return again. And then the 7-year stuff still applies. So when you're like 37, you're going to have another like, I call them itchy moments. I haven't even experienced a Saturn return yet, but when you're 37, you get itchy moment, 42, itchy moment, 49, and then your return. Yeah. You actually have to look at an ephemeris, which we get into later, and look at the exact degree of the return. These are guesstimated numbers. You'd have to either get a reading or look at the ephemeris yourself to know exactly when these things are going to happen. Like I always thought my Saturn square when I was 21, because it's like every 7 years. So like 777, I thought happened when I was 21, but it actually happened when I was 22 when I looked at the exact degrees. But when Saturn enters the sign that is squaring or opposing your natal Saturn sign, you're going to feel that energy, but the like biggest lesson will happen when it's in the 3-degree orb on either side of the degrees, which we're not there yet, but okay. Gives you challenges to test your strength. Yeah, it's like an old wise man. That's how my astrology teacher described it. It's just like you have to listen to Saturn. It can make your life a little difficult. So I'll give you my Saturn example, but again, find your Saturn on your chart, circle it in here, highlight it, and write down how you connect with it. Did I say life lesson? I forget what I say. Sometimes can feel like it's a life lesson that you have to learn because it might be something because it's a little harder for you to work with. You might avoid it, you might do it. It's like you have to learn it, so it might feel like a hard lesson, but you kind of have to like embrace it. I've learned to embrace mine. Mine's Saturn and Aries. It's the first one here. So anyone who's born like 1995-ish to 1998-ish, you have to look at the exact dates, has a Saturn and Aries, and then 30 years before. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my Saturn Aries is what I attribute it's conjunct my midheaven, which we're going to get into that soon. But my life lesson, we look at element first, is fire. Fire is my like lowest element. I always score lowest on the quiz that we all did with elements there. I always scored lowest in fire, and it's my life lesson. And my life lesson is to learn the fire. Most people around me have lots of fire in their chart. And I'm like, okay, I need to learn from them. It's that like kind of like lesson energy. So Saturn Aries needs to learn how to be pushy, not even pushy, but needs to learn how to be assertive and stand up for themselves. They need to get up and go, like learn how to use their energy and be active and be really tap into being the leader, or they're going to have like trouble doing that, or they might choose to, in my case, clean instead of work out. Like that's just a funny example, but you all would also look like in your chart where Saturn is, where it's really going to show up for you. For me, it's career. But the drive I have to be entrepreneurial is very strong. And I attribute that to Saturn and Aries. But yeah, you can look at your Saturn placement and like the zodiac sign it's in and see if you know anybody who is that sign. And if you do, I personally think that you're meant to learn from that person because they have the energy, their sun sign that they're shining outwardly that you're supposed to learn with your Saturn placement. So yeah, whenever I meet an Aries on that podcast, I got a lot of Aries interviews up already, and I got a list of Aries that I somehow know. And I'm like, why do I know so many Aries? This potentially could be why. My Pisces moon is like, there are no coincidences. This is all mystically connected, depending on how you feel about it. But yeah. So look here, see if you are connecting to your Saturn, maybe see if you are like in it, like you're learning the lesson, or maybe you like need to think back to those moments, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, later 50s, like 56, 57. Again, those are just like approximate numbers. You have to look at the exact degrees of the planets, but thinking about that and checking in here to see how it is showing up in your life. And if you've learned the lessons and you're like applying what you learned, or if you like haven't learned the lesson yet and you're still very confused. The but the people born after me, they would be born Saturn and Taurus. So my younger brother has this, and he's supposed to learn how to like slow down and go slow and be patient and learn about the practical, almost boring things in life, and like not feel bad about going at a slower pace than everyone else. Like that's what they're supposed to kind of be doing. Which is the complete opposite of the Aries. Like Aries is fast, Taurus is slow. So like, and then Saturn and Gemini would be a little more picking things up, but learning the mind, learning to question everything. Geminis always have lots of questions. So you might have no air in your chart, but then you have Saturn and Gemini. So your lesson is to learn air, ask questions, communicate, and know it's okay to like change, but like be deliberate with what you're doing. So yeah, read about your little Saturn here and journal. Now the next 3 planets, I should have stated this. So Jupiter and Saturn, to me, I consider them to be like inner planets, kind of. Like I do think that they affect us and like how we are in life. Now I'm going to go backwards kind of fast. Watch your eyes. So the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are what are called inner planets. So they are planets that are directly tied to our personality and how we act in our day-to-day lives. Jupiter and Saturn are kind of like in the middle, where some people consider them to be outer planets. I think that they're inner planets because I really connect to my Jupiter and Saturn. They actually form a sextile on my chart. They work really well together. But I see my Jupiter show up kind of, if not in the day-to-day, like I see it show up in my life. I can really see it there with things. But you also have to look at, and we go through this later, is how like is Jupiter aspecting a personal planet? Like is Jupiter, for example, aspecting Venus? For me, it is. It's a trine. Do I have that? Yeah. So my Jupiter is going to show up a little bit more maybe than someone else's because it's aspecting a personal planet in a harmonious way, which we'll get to aspects later. But yeah. But I think I consider Jupiter and Saturn to be personal planets. Now, the outer planets I don't have this little like Saturn in, or like I don't have Uranus and Neptune and those different things, because these planets are outer planets. They're, if we remember that first picture at the beginning, they're very far away from the sun and Earth. They're not necessarily affecting us as much. They're more like collective energies. And then we have Pluto. So Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they're farther out. They still impact us, but more like potentially like lifetime energy, or how you're going to be in your life, not necessarily like how you're going to be during the day. Like an example, let's just do this to maybe help you understand. It's like for me, day in the life, we have a Gemini. I immediately want to grab my phone and get on social media and start feeling connected to the world, because that's air. I sometimes do that. It's bad. I try not to. But then sometimes I wake up feeling exhausted. It's the Pisces moon. I just am very moody in the morning. We're not getting into like rising signs or after this, but Cancer rising, Pisces moon, I don't know how I'm going to feel in the morning. But then my day starts. I work in marketing during the day. So I'm very, marketing is air, it's communication, it's that Gemini sun coming through. But I have a plan, and I have my to-do list, which is the Mercury and Taurus and the Mars and Virgo. And then I'm somehow always have conversations going on like the phone, on the computer with different people, which is the Venus and Gemini. And then usually on my lunch or while I'm working, I have podcasts on because I like to learn. That's Venus and Gemini. Or in the evenings, I'm registered for my own courses or I'm teaching. And then during the day, I always have music on, which is Mercury and Taurus as well. Same song on for like 2 hours. It's odd repetition. It works. And then Saturn Aries, I always try to lead projects. Have my own business. And then Jupiter and Aquarius, I'm teaching astrology and I do like EFT, like it's tapping. I do that and I meditate almost every day because it's like air, it's consciousness. So that's like day in the life. Now, the Uranus, Neptune, and my Pluto placement don't necessarily show up. Like, I can't see them showing up like, oh my God, do I have Uranus spelled wrong? I'm just looking. Oh my gosh, I went through this like so many times. You're Uranus. No, I spelled it wrong. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm just noticing that now. Okay, anyway, but if you have any Virgo energy, you totally noticed that before I did. But these energies I don't necessarily see in the day-to-day, but if you look back on like your life, how I'm gonna describe these, it's like you can kind of see them play out. So yeah, I totally did like a day in my life with explaining that. I'm just like, oh man, that's a Gemini TMI overshare moment, but whatever helps you learn the information. So Uranus is kind of like, it's similar to Mercury, the planet Mercury, but it's like described, someone once said it's an octave higher, like it's a higher mind. So it's not just like how you think, it's like collectively. So people, because these outer planets move slower, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they're generational. So like people who are born near me, we all have Uranus in Aquarius. I have Neptune in Capricorn, and then some people younger than me have Neptune in Aquarius. I'm at the very end of Neptune in Capricorn. Then my Pluto's in Sagittarius, which is technically considered, because I did a class on like Pluto and the different generations. Pluto and Sagittarius, I'm at the beginning, I'm at 4 degrees, Generation Z, which I don't really know how I connect to that personally. Like the kids born in like 2004, I'm like, I don't relate to them at all. However, if you were born like in the 80s, like mid to late 80s to like 1995, you are Pluto and Scorpio and you are the millennials, right? So it's cool to see the how Pluto kind of it like directly impacts how generations act. I think it's the coolest thing I've like discovered. So you're in Uranus and Neptune. You can say Uranus, Uranus, or Uranus, depending on how you want to say it. But these energies, these planets, that's how I kind of describe them. So Uranus, it's an inventive collective mind, progression. It's how you're going to rebel in life. So you could rebel every day. Aquarius, like Uranus rules Aquarius, and my Uranus is in Aquarius. So I feel a natural impulse to rebel constantly with what I do. And people who are born near me might feel that as well, but it's good because they might actually we might change things somehow, but not people usually don't like change, right? So Uranus is like where it even says he represents radical change. It's how you're gonna change things, or how even the part like a generation, like it's like a good gap of like 6-7 years, how you guys are gonna change things. It's gonna be an area where like you do not want to follow. It might be a little eccentric. You want to make your own rules, innovate something. It's like you don't want no part in what the hell is going on. So currently, I'll use this as an example. Currently until 2026, I believe, Uranus is in Taurus, like in the sky right now. So if you have any Taurus placements, you're probably feeling it, or Scorpio, because that's the opposite. But Uranus in Taurus is asking the world to, like, in mundane astrology, to shake up how we look at money and food, right? So if you go back to what I was talking, remember, if you listen back or go to your notes when I was talking about the sign of Taurus, Tauruses are all about food and money and things and personal belongings and possessions. So hopefully by just me saying that, you can see how you can connect this what with the how, like how it's expressed with the zodiac sign. So Uranus is just as how you're going to rebel. So children being born now they're going to be born with Uranus and Taurus. So they're going to grow up to think differently and rebel against those kinds of things. That's the easiest way to describe it. I'm going to stop talking about it so I don't confuse you or I don't over explain something and make it confusing. You bring questions to the life class and I'll over explain there. Next, we have Neptune. Neptune is the planet of like illusions and dreams and visions, creativity, intuition. It can represent like addictions, escapism, how you're going to transit into the other realms. Like you're not on reality, you're somewhere else. There's like an invisible boundaryless line you're just kind of float into. So Pisces, this is a lot of Pisces energy. So if you have a strong Neptune placement, it's aspected highly. You're going to be highly sensitive to things. You might be very like empathic, but very refined. Like you know how to make things beautiful. And Neptune takes a long time to kind of move through things. So I kind of describe it. I'll use mine as an example where you want to dream. So I have Neptune Capricorn at like the 29th degree. It's the very last degree. My whole life I've dreamed I'm like more career driven than any other typical like feminine or woman role. Like I don't dream necessarily of having kids. I dream more of like my career, my business, being like this CEO type energy. Always have been like that, never understood why. And then I looked at my chart and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like a dream of success and how that works, but it's usually a success that's related to work. So that's just one example. But it's where you're going to have dreams in life and where you're going to always potentially, like you have thousands of thoughts per day. It might be kind of, if you go off into la la land, I don't know how often people do this. I do it a lot with Pisces moon. But when you go off into that la la land, where your dreams are going to take you, where if I were to ask you, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? It could potentially connect to your Neptune placement. Right now, Neptune is in Pisces for like a while, a few more years. And when Neptune's in Pisces, that's what it rules. It's literally asking us to like just dream what we want to dream, tap into the spiritual stuff, go with it, right? Tap into your emotions, your creativity, let it flow, and just dream what you want to dream. Yeah, that's what I would say for that. But it can also like, it says a plan of illusion. So it'll either, you'll be so up here and not in the reality that it's like what you really want. It's like a dream you have, but it might feel like an illusion until it actually happens. Or it might not even feel like a dream. It's like an illusion you've created for yourself in your own mind. And you're like, oh, wait, I actually have to like jump back down onto earth and like make this happen kind of thing. It's like what you're going to daydream about, but it'd be collectively other people that are going to be daydreaming about it too. Okay, Pluto, our last planet. Pluto is very collective generational. Like right now, Pluto is 24 degrees Capricorn. So kids being born right now, I don't even know what the generation's called after Generation Z. I have no idea. But when Pluto moves into Aquarius, November 2024, that's what's happening. It's in there fully for 20 years. The world's going to change. Oh my gosh. I don't even know how, but things are totally changing. That's a whole new generation of people. Okay. So Pluto, though, is how we transform the mysteries, secrets, this unconscious, subconscious like mind. It's powerful, but if used in the wrong way, it's destructive. So it's kind of like, it says kind of scary. Oh my gosh, I see another spelling mistake. Kind of scary, but transformational. So basically, Pluto's like, okay, we've all experienced some kind of like trauma in our lives, right? And you take that and transmute it and transform into a different human being and be a better person. Like, don't sit with it and like let it kind of ruin your life. Take the pain, the trauma, transform and grow. That's what Pluto is going to kind of tell you to do. So whatever energy it's in, it's going to tell you to transform with that zodiac kind of energy, and your generation is going to feel like responsible in a way to transform with that. And then if we look at houses, the area of your life where you're going to feel the most transformation. So mine's Sagittarius, like Pluto and Sagittarius. So the generation, it's 1990, like 5-ish to 2008. And it's the years where like the internet really boomed and information is very accessible to us now. And if it's like, okay, we have all this information, why aren't we questioning things and things like that? Why are we this information is not just meant to sit there, it's available to everybody. It's like, use this information to like make change. So that's how I think it kind of works out. That's my interpretation of it anyway. You can Google anything, right? But it's also like your discernment. Who wrote this? Is this correct? Right? Even questioning what I say, like question what I say, right? So next, write down any questions about the planets, bring them to the class, but hopefully you have a grasp of the planets. We're going to do connection to the chakras just quickly. So if you're into astrology, you've probably done something with the chakras. These are our 7 main chakras. So the connection to the planets, your root chakra, which is like your stability, like what you sort of need, your like shelter, your food, money, things like that, your security. It's like your Saturn sign. Your Saturn, if you're really working with your Saturn energy and you're on that path and you're learning your lesson, you should feel rooted. Your sacral is that creative energy. That's Venus and Jupiter. It's that creativity, things you love to do. So once you're rooted in your purpose, you can flourish upward and do things you like to do. Solar plexus, emotions, how you're going to react to things. That's Mars, right? Like how you're going to take action with something. The heart, Venus, obviously love, but moon, because the heart is tied to our emotional body, most likely. I think so. Our throat, obviously we talk through here if we are able to speak, this Mercury. So if you ever are feeling like, oh my gosh, I have a blocked throat chakra, or you're having trouble getting words out or speaking up where you want, go look at your Mercury and see if you're really actually working with that energy. Third eye is sun and moon. So like your inner outer world perspectives, and then the crown chakra is your south node, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. So yeah, it's because the crown chakra is like, it's like up here, you can't see it. South node is what you did in the past life. So it's like information you already kind of know. Any questions you bring to the class? Okay, so now we're getting to chart divisions. I have no idea how long this thing has been. So I call it chart division. I don't know what the actual term is, but it's like other chart elements. So it's not planets, but you're going to see these little glyphics on your chart. And I want you to know what the heck they mean. So we're going to go through the AC, or the rising sign, the ascendant, the DC, descendant, MC, midhaven, IC. It's like a Latin word. I can't say it. IC, or it's called nadir. North node, south node, Chiron. This is what your chart looks like. People ask like, okay, what's the ascendant sign or the AC? It's where like the sun, like what constellation the sun was kind of like going over in the sky. So like, I'm going to give you an example. I was born at 9 a.m. and I'm in the 11th house. So I think there's times here, like here's noon, here's 9 a.m., not 8 to 10, 9 a.m., 11th house sun. This is how you can like, if you weren't going to use astro.com, you can kind of figure out what house the sun lives in, which is very important. But I know a lot of people who really randomly were born between 2 and 3 a.m., which is right here, the 3rd house. So their 3rd house suns, which is the Gemini house. And I'm a Gemini. I think it's funny. I don't think these things are coincidences. But if you know someone's born at noon, their sun's going to be like up here. If someone's born at 6 a.m., it's here. And you can kind of 6 p.m. and a midnight. So the house is here. We're not going to get into that, but they're kind of like, you were born like in the night, in the dark down here. And then if you're up here, you're born during the day. So it said, this is probably in the notes for the next one, but down here, you're going to be more introverted. Here, you're going to be more extroverted because you were born during the day and then born at night. I don't know. Cool things you can look at, but that's basically how a chart is like constructed here. And if you're curious. So our ascendant is very important. And I have each ascendant broken down. And again, I want you to write how you connect with it. So the ascendant, the rising, it's your soul. It rules the 1st house, which is all about like your body and your physical like nature. but it's also like what you're meant to do in this life. It can be how the world sees you, because it's like your physical body, how you appear, your perspective on life. It can explain what you're rising, evolving, or growing into. When you were a child, you may have just naturally expressed this energy before your ego or that sun energy started to shine. You may have even, when you were little, expressed your moon more so than that sun energy. Always ask your like family who are older than you if they can recall any stories, and you can kind of see if the stories connect to like sun, moon, or rising. I was told I was a very calm child who just like sat quietly and did my own thing. And I'm like, okay, that's Cancer rising or Pisces moon. As I got older, the Gemini kicks in and I'm talking like a lot. So just like ask your family like what you were like when you were little. But it's kind of like how you evolve into things. But it's just your soul. I'm going to say it's your soul. It's a bunch of times. There might be some resistance to the rising sign because you want to be in your sun and that like ego energy, but your higher self wants to be in that soul energy. But your soul is quieter than your ego. So the natural impulse just might feel like a little softer. The time of birth is very important for you know rising sign. If you don't know the exact time of birth, it might screw up the rising sign. So whatever, I have an important, whatever planet rules your rising sign rules your chart. So look to see. I have it all written there, ruled by, beautiful. I'm glad I did that. And so I'm a Cancer rising, ruled by the moon. So I study the moon like crazy, and I track energy with the moon now. And like cyclical nature, and like, oh my gosh, it's really helped me, honestly. So I do suggest studying the planet that your chart's ruled by. And then also, like it said, there's like typical features. Like, so if you're Leo rising, you have big hair or a big head. You're just, because it's like Leo, you're ruled by the sun, you just want to be seen. So you have like great hair or like a bigger like head, a bigger skull. Really random fact, but it is kind of true because I know a few Leo risings and it's like a thing. For me, Cancer rising, ruled by the moon, it said like my like faces, if I smile, it's like round like the moon. I don't know, but it's a very young face. I look way younger than I am, so it's not a bad thing. But that's just a random kind of fact. I don't know for all of the signs what that's like. Virgo risings are said to be like the prettiest, like the best looking. A Scorpio rising is going to be so quiet. They're just going to be like sitting there observing you. Pisces risings are probably going to be very soft featured as well. Aquarius risings are going to stand out. They're going to look different because that's what their soul wants to do. Their soul does want to fit in. I'm trying to think of like, I don't know. Some of them I have the big heads here. Aries rising, well, it's going to be strong features, so like a square jaw, or like it's going to be very like, because it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a very physical personality, assertive soul. So your natural stature and body language is going to appear very like, listen to me, hey. So go through, read all of these in your book. Do I have a spot? I have it here. My AC is right about it, right? How you connect with it. Learning my rising sign was very like empowering for me, and it's how I want all this information to be with for you, because I'm very chatty here, talking and teaching, because like I have to be, and it's just the Gemini comes out. But in a normal day, I'm pretty quiet, especially when I meet new people, and I'm very like, who are you? I'm protective of my energy. Who are you? What do you want? And I was like, oh, I'm an introverted Gemini. I'm a Cancer rising Gemini sun. That's what it is. It's like, it made so much sense when I discovered it, and knowing that it's okay to not be a loud Gemini. Like, it's not like you have to be this crazy chatty sign all the time. So yeah, the rising sign is very empowering to learn. And then how it kind of works with our other points, whatever your rising sign is has an opposite, which would be the descendant. So it's how you are in partnership. So your rising sign is your soul, and the descendant is like, okay, what you kind of are going to need in partnerships, romantically, business wise. It's like the one-to-one, any one-to-one partnership. So it's just the exact opposite. So remember, we go back to our zodiacs and we look at the opposites. boom, you could kind of know what the opposite is. So for me, I'm Cancer rising, Capricorn descendant. Midheaven and the I am Koli, these two. Now, if it in the tip, all the triangles in your chart are probably different sizes. Now, in a perfect world, if every chart was the same size, your midheaven and your IC would be in the same mode for everything. So mine is like that. Mine goes Cancer, then Libra, then Capricorn, then Aries. But not everybody's is like that, because I know someone who goes Leo, Libra, Aquarius, Aries. So that's fixed this way, and then cardinal this way. But if in a perfect world, it would be Scorpio and Taurus. So it's all the fixed signs. So it doesn't necessarily go like that. But the midheaven is basically like it describes your career and how people are gonna see you from like a public life standing, your career goals, how you want to give to society. And then your IC is the opposite of that. It's your most private self, your home life, what kind of environment you like kind of subconsciously choose. It can also be connected to like the family you were raised in, or like how you are now. And it's the lowest point in your chart. So it can even feel kind of secretive and like hidden from people. So if people know you, like you have your work friends, they might know you with your midheaven really, but then at home when you're with your family, you might be like, act like the sign down there, whatever it is. So for me, it's like leader at work, doing my own thing, very like, I don't know, I'm just like up here. And then at home, it's like, no, I don't want to be the leader at home. It's the opposite of Aries is Libra. So it's more like, just I ask everyone what they want to do, but when it comes to work, I do what I want to do. I don't ask anybody. So it's kind of seeing that. And again, I overshare my stuff to help you learn. And then yeah, that's that. I don't know how long this lesson is. The last one I did was over an hour. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh. But again, writing these down, writing my MC is this, and then going back and reading about that sign and applying it to, for example, career, applying it to partnership, applying it to, you can't see where I'm pointing pain, applying it to home life, right? Questions, you bring them to the live class and it'll help you with the chart interpretation. Is there anything else I'm teaching you? The last thing is the North Node and South Node. This isn't the last thing. I know there's one more thing. Oh my gosh. North, hopefully you can pause these videos and come back to them. So North Node, South Node, they are not planets. They are calculations of the moon, the lunar nodes. North Node, and I like this little compass thing. North Node, go to your North Node, follow it. It's like a star in the sky, go north, follow it. It's a lesson you need to learn in order to clear karmic energy, but it's like the more you are in your North Node, the more grounded and at peace you will feel. When you go into your South Node, that's going to feel more natural for you because it's what you were in a past life. But it's kind of like you might default mode to it, like, okay, cool, I'm going to chill in my South Node, but like, I know this energy, cool, let's learn something new in this life. If you stay in your South Node, you're not really growing or evolving as a human, in my personal opinion. So always try to go to the North Node energy. And again, the same thing, whatever sign your North Node is in, similar to your Saturn, and they could even be the same sign. That's like extra, like you really got to hone in on that energy. If you know people that are like the sun sign of the North Node, it's like, go to that person for like something, see if they can teach you something that might be helpful. So my North Node is in Virgo, which is on the next page. It's the last one. My South Node is in Pisces. So I default to Pisces all the time. And it's like, okay, how can I use this dreamy, spiritual woo-woo-ness, but bring that into the real world and apply it to the details of life? So I have to do the details of life. I have to make sure things are organized and things have a plan. And I have other energy in my chart that can help me, which is fantastic, depending on where yours is or not, if things are conjunct it. So like beside it, we're not in aspects yet. If you have things in the same sign as your North Node, then like there's definitely energy there helping you kind of do that. But it's basically like, try living like the North Node, whatever zodiac sign yours in, just try living like that and see if life kind of just goes smoother and it doesn't feel as bumpy, right? So I'm not going to go through all of these. You can read them. Again, circle, highlight what you have, and be careful to note like Taurus north node here, Scorpio south, and then it's flipped. So mine's the last one here. So yeah, I have to embrace like structures, the facts and figures. I have dreams all the time where I'm like, I'm gonna go do this. And then my brother's a Virgo. So I learned from him, and he's like, okay, that's a cool dream, but how are you actually gonna do it? Like, let's look at the numbers. And I'm like, I don't want to look at the numbers. It's a dream. But it's like, do you not want the dream to come true? You have to actually face the freaking facts, right? So that's the energy there. So journal, north node, south node, telling you mine. Next, we have Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid, and it's the only asteroid I'm going to talk about. There are so many more that you can dive into on your own, but Chiron, I feel like, is like the biggest one to kind of work with. It automatically appears in the astro.com chart. So that's why it's in the default mode. Chiron is a wounded healer in mythology. He could like heal everyone but himself. So it represents past life energy that is meant to be healed in this lifetime. It can potentially be an issue for you, feel like a struggle in your life. It keeps showing up until you learn to heal it. And you usually have to go in it to heal it. Chiron, it's going to look like a key on your chart. So sometimes I feel like it's the key to unlocking something, right? So I do not have for each one, but if you look at Chiron, something that needs to be healed in your life, and then you look at all the signs, you can kind of pick it out with the chart interpretation, which we can go over in the live. But I'm going to give you my example. My Chiron is in Libra. So I have to somehow, the key is in relationships. It's in one-to-ones. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean romantic relationships. It could, but any kind of relationships, like learning maybe how to be an equal partner. The key is there. Or, right, like being that balanced, supportive partner. And then Chiron moves. Kind of interesting how it moves. Sometimes it moves fast through a sign, sometimes it doesn't. But a lot of people like Chiron can stay. Chiron's in Aries right now. So collectively, I feel like it's trying to tell everybody to be independent. But I think it's going to be in Aries for a while. So it can collectively feel like a bunch of, like anyone born near me, they also have Chiron in Libra. And so I feel like we all kind of have either, I see people in my generation, they like do not date at all. They're single, or they have been in a relationship for 5 years. And I'm like, how? It goes one or the other. It's interesting to see. So fun fact, kids of the late 90s, they either date someone for 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, how are they doing this? Or they're like, they're not dating at all. They don't want any part of it. So, that's it. So it was really long. I feel like this is over an hour. My goodness. Hopefully this was okay. The lesson length. I dove into a lot. Bring questions to the live. Do your flashcards and do your journal prompts as well. That is all I have to say. Thank you. And I'll see you in the next lesson.